Alright, it is time for your health, and today we will be talking about cleft lip. Do you know what it is? Well, in studio joining me to discuss that is, to my immediate left, Dr. Meshak Oguti, yes? Onguti. And then next to him is Jacqueline Obonyo, and finally, last but not least, Jamila Wamwiri. Thank you very much for coming to Morning Express. Now, I'll start with you, Daktari. What is cleft lip?
Well, let's just put it that it's just not only cleft lip, but it's a cleft is a gap that occurs in between tissues.
Okay.
And in this case, when you're talking about the cleft as a disease, it's normally, you'll find that the children, people are born with their lips not connected together. So you see a gap and you can actually look directly in the mouth. Or on the roof of their mouth, which where we call the palate, is also is not united together, so there's a gap. So you can actually look through, see the nostrils, look down, and you'll see the back of the mouth and around the pharynx areas. Okay. Yes. So that's basically what it is, and it simply means that there's a defect, a deformity that is not normal, and is not. It affects both the functions, because we have a cleft. You cannot be able to speak properly.
Yes.
You cannot talk properly. You cannot be able to eat properly. You are prone to have infections. And the worst one is that it causes a lot of psychological trauma.
All right. Yeah. So he's mentioned that you can be born with it. Is it just only, you know, coming when you're born, it's just there, or someone can get it even as they go on with their lives? It's just Jacqueline.
Okay. Mostly cleft lip and palate, you're born with it.
Okay.
Yes.
Do we have any cases where someone just can't?
It's congenital.
Oh, okay.
It's not, you have to be born with it. That's when it becomes a cleft palate. If there is, for example, a defect of the lip that occurs by other things, by accidents or by something else, or by burns, or by human bites or severity, then we call it acquired.
Okay.
It becomes an acquired deformity rather than a cleft lip.
All right, so Jamil, I'll come to you. Maybe you can explain to us, how is cleft lip treated?
Normally, cleft lip is treated through operations. That's where the operation, the repairs comes in. Yes. Through surgery. It's usually, it can be done at any age, and normally it's either done once. If it's a cleft, it's done once. If the palate, it's usually done twice.
Okay. All right. And, you know, talking about it, it sounds severe and painful. What are the most severe cases that you've experienced as a doctor?
When, just for the public, see, any disease is severe. Okay. There's a lot, what we call, in terms of mortality and in terms of mobility, if it affects the functions that the person is supposed to be doing, the functions that you are supposed to do, you're not able to do that, then you see, and it impairs your life as you go along. So, the worst ones, for example, where you've got both the lip and the palate when they're all fully affected, because that affects not only the functional aspects of eating, speech, hearing, infections that occur and so on, but also affects the health of the person, because someone will look like as if it's not normal. I mean, it's not a normal function of that particular aspect.
Yes.
So that's basically what it means. But what you have to understand that at the time the child is born, you can imagine what the family, I mean, the parents feel like. Yeah. It's something like a shock to them that occurs. So the reason why clefts are a major concern in the public, it starts at birth, and the management continues for a long period of time. Yes. Which means that it's not something you do once and you forget. You are actually going to be involved to take care of those people until they grow, they reach adulthood. So that's why, if it was something you treat once, you will forget. But in this case, from the time you start, because the mothers have a problem in terms of how they're going to feed their children. Yeah. They have a problem in terms of what they're going to do, how do they present to the people, the public, and then you can't do the surgeries immediately. You can do it after some period of time. So it means that it's a teamwork, and there's no part that I find, and it is like cleft lips that you can't treat it alone. It's a teamwork.
Okay.
Yes.
So you've talked about surgery. You know, most of the times after surgery, one goes on with their normal lives. But in this case, you have to be taken care of till you grow old. So after the surgery, what functions can you not do as, you know, a baby, as when you're growing up, Jacqueline?
Okay, I'll start by saying the functions that you can do.
Okay.
Initially, when you have a child with cleft lip or palate, they're not able to breastfeed properly. So after surgery, this child is able to now breastfeed, they're able to eat, they have less infections than the one they had initially. Then their speech is also improved because, as we've been told, it affects the speech. You cannot speak properly because of the gap. Sometimes it's both, it's two, double, sometimes it's one. So you're not able to speak properly. So once after the surgery, then sometimes you're taken through speech therapy so that they now go through the process of how now you can start speaking. Yeah. Then at least you're able to feed. Then the very severe infections now are not there. Yeah.
Okay, Jamila, I'll come to you. This is something that is, let's say, for all the pregnant mothers or even women out there who are pregnant, or maybe they want to get pregnant in the near future. This is a deformity. Is there a way you can, you know, work against it, prevent it? Jamila?
Mainly, we advise women to start clinics early. And then it's usually advised that they take folic and folate. That one prevents. And then the diet. Usually, when they have balanced diet, it would assist. And to avoid most of the things like smoking, drugs, those abuses, drug abuse, alcohol abuse, smoking, that one can assist.
Yes, you've talked about diet. What diet exactly?
Mainly a balanced diet. When you talk about a balanced diet, it's when you have your proteins are good, carbohydrates are good, vitamins are good, you're taking enough water, enough liquids.
Yes. Okay. So can they do normal functions in terms of going to school, or do they have to have special needs dedicated to them?
The best thing with clefts is that once they get the right treatment, the right management, you actually change their lives completely. They become normal. They are able to do what is supposed to be done.
All right.
And the reason why we have this kind of campaigns where we can help those ones who are affected by this disease is because that if we attack them earlier, we help them earlier in their life, you will find that they will be able to go to school when the time reaches. They will be able to speak properly. They will be able to have good features so that they have good looks, what we call the cosmetic kind of it. Then you satisfy the community and the parents because psychologically they find that that child is normal. Because the unfortunate thing is that if you, in our own communities, when you find a child who's deformed, it doesn't matter whether there's activity alone and everything, there's always that resentment. You feel that, oh, this is not a normal child, this is something strange here. You even advise other children not to go with it. And that, it affects the family. And you find these people normally don't even come outside. So you actually, it will be so important to say that you change someone's life completely. Because these people sometimes become very, they can become presidents of the country, they can become ministers, they can become doctors themselves. We have followed many patients, for example, who are now very senior in their own capacities of doing their work.
So once it heals completely?
It heals completely, yeah.
You become normal?
Exactly. I would like to add something what Jamila talked about. You know, most people ask how has this disease come when the mother is giving the child. There are many causes that are caused. And they said one was talking about nutrition. When you look at it, you find that in most of the areas where most of our food sometimes don't have certain things that prevent, you know, when the cells develop, like the face is developing up, the brain is developing up. There's certain things that if you miss them, you can't, like folic acid as he talked about. And then multivitamins, for example. So what happens is that if you wanted, the only thing I wanted to add on top was, look, if, let's say, you see, we don't have what we call planned parenthood, that you want to have your baby at this particular time. But if that was the case, one of the things that we could be able to advise that you start you know, having supplemental folic acid and multivitamins 2 months before you conceive.
Okay.
And then thereafter, you continue when you're pregnant for about another 3 months, so that you know that everything, because the face develops within 1 month and 3 months, so normally it develops. It doesn't occur another different time.
All right.
And the reason why you see clefts in adults is that they were not fixed at the time when they were young.
Okay, so once if it's not fixed, it stays permanent?
It stays permanent.
Yes.
Okay, and are there any cases of elderly now adults going into surgery?
Yes.
Okay.
So we have
We'll actually
several
invite
cases.
you to come to Mbagathi, where we are doing the next one, because you will see many adults also.
Okay.
Yes.
And how much does it cost, Jamila?
For this particular operation, it's free. It's free for the patients.
Okay.
But normally, I think Dr. has a figure that goes...
First of all, you have to know that any reconstructive surgery is expensive. And if I'll give you an example, in our local setup, to do a cleft lip and a cleft palate, if you are doing it as a private case, it will be over 200,000, between 200 and 300,000 shillings.
Okay.
And you know that that's beyond the reach of everything else.
Yes.
Now, in the lifetime, for example, if we're talking about the life, it would cost maybe about $10,000, you know, those countries. But if you look at the countries like America, it actually pays about, it costs about 100,000 from the time the child starts being treatment until they reach adulthood, where, because, you know, as I told you, it's a combination, it's a teamwork. That child will require a nutritionist. That child will require a genetics, you know, someone who will advise the look, because many will come, is it, how does it come? Am I inherited it? There are someone in the family like that. It will require the surgeons like myself. It will require the nursing. You know, the nursing staff plays a major role, particularly in feeding and particularly making sure that the child is growing. Because this child doesn't grow properly. The child might be born at the proper weight, but at the time, they now, because of difficulty in feeding, you find they're going down. So they become malnourished.
All right.
Yes.
So you've talked about people hiding, you know, once you're born, let's say in the rural areas. Do we have cases of stigma when it comes to cleft lifting?
Well, most of the people who give birth to children with cleft tend to hide them.
Okay.
Because of the cosmetic, the way the children look like when they're born. You know, it's when you give birth, everyone comes to look at the way your baby looks like. And when you give birth to this abnormal child, when someone comes, you don't want to show them that child.
Yes.
Because it's something that someone will notice instantly when they look at the baby. So most of the people tend to hide these children. And that's why you find that some people get to go up to adulthood with this problem. And we are saying there's hope. And we have come up, we as an association, nursing association, Kenya Progressive Nurses Association, we partnered with Smile Train to bring hope to these children, so that every mother who is out there who has a child who has a cleft lip will know that there's hope for this child. Okay. This child can live a normal life, and you don't have to hide this child. Once the repair is done, your child is normal, they can do normal activities. They also look pretty, quite pretty.
All right.
Yeah.
Now, Daktari talked about, you know, going all through from when you're born all the way to when you're old. You know, parents will get stressed, they'll get psychologically affected. Do you have any provisions for, you know, psychological help, Jamila?
Yeah, during the operations, we usually have people to do counseling. And even after the counseling is done. And the beauty of it all is after the operations, you'd see them change. You'll see them, the confidence they get immediately, even if it's an adult. Immediately after the repair, you'd see they get self-esteem, they get the confidence. So after the counseling, and they get their self-esteem back, they're able to go to do their normal jobs normally. And even they're able to go out, they're able to smile normally. And that's the beauty of it all.
So how long does a surgery take? I'm just curious.
No, it's a good question.
Yes.
You see, we actually normally don't like to to allocate time to surgery because there are a lot of factors that contribute to how long it will take. But if it was a straightforward leave, for example, for those experienced, those who have worked on for a long time, you can do it within 45 minutes. But remember, it's not only the surgery. That child, more children in particular, you must make them, you can't do them when they are awake. They have to be made asleep and by putting the tubes. Sometimes even getting, the vest, putting the tubes, which you can be able to use to put the drugs and make sure everything's done properly. This safety, we talk of safety in this particular case. But again, it can also go to about almost 4 or 5 hours to do particularly with those bilateral cleft, for example. It probably the same thing. So it ranges from anywhere from 1 hour to anywhere between 4 hours.
All right.
Now, the only thing that you look at is that, look, in terms of safety, in terms of quality, and this is one of the things that we must be able to do, that, look, how do we ensure that these children don't just get the surgery, but it's quality surgery, and it's quality, it's the safety net. Because clefts don't kill. But the only way they can kill is, for example, that if they are not treated and the children cannot eat properly, they become malnourished, they become infected, and they die. Or something happens to them in terms of let's say when you're doing the surgery, for example, and they die. So the purpose of when you give them a treatment, it's make sure that all the safety markers, all the quality is taken care of. That's why we work as a team. You find that if you came in, it's like, it's one way of saying how people can work in synergy rather than pulling apart. They work in synergy to make sure that the focus, and we have one policy. See, we are not important. They are not important. The only important person is the patient we are treating. So we have to do everything. That is, for example, you remember, like if you look at the president, how he's protected, making sure they save everything else. Then our patients, that's president, who we protect, we ensure that every aspect that we do, any treatment we give, that child comes out. Because if you see when the mother gives you that child to take to theater, they're normally very scared and very gloomy. But when they are coming out and they see that child, you see tears coming through with joy. You see them actually wondering, is this our child? And sometimes I wish we were able to take that instant photograph so that they can be able to see it. It is something very special.
You've talked about death and nutrition. Jacqueline, I'll come to you. Are there any cases when a child is brought in too late?
Oh, not really. Children, normally when you keep them away, now when you have camps like this, that's why we say that there are even adults who come for the surgery. These are people who've been having this condition from birth all the way. So you'll find that even adults come for the surgery, which means it is never too late.
All right. Now, how many number of surgeries can be done, or how many do you do in, let's say, a span of a week? Jamila, if you have the statistics, that is.
For a span of a week, depending on how many surgeons you have, you can do up to 100. Depending on how many surgeons you have.
Like, let's say in your hospital, how many surgeons do you have?
In a hospital, the maxillofacial surgeons are few in the country. So this surgery are usually done by specialized surgeons, and normally not done in all hospitals. But as KPNA, whenever we go, we usually go with partner with Help a Child Face Tomorrow, and we usually take a hospital. Like for the past 5 years, the first one we did in Kakamega, we did about 70, and then we went to Meru, we did 57. But that one was a span of 3 days. And then we went to Nyeri, we did 45. Last year, we were in Kisumu. We did, was it 57? 57. This year we are in Mbagathi, and we are hoping to do up to 100 because we have maybe like 4 or 5 days of the surgery starting from Saturday.
Starting from this Saturday,
Starting from this Saturday.
I wanted to just ask a question about how many in our house and everything else. Now, I remember I said that it's unique. Clefts is a unique case. It is not treated just one person. It's a teamwork.
Yes.
And to have this teamwork, they are not available everywhere. In fact, they are available in very limited areas, particular areas in Nairobi, very few of them. Even with that, even with some of those ones, you'll find that they don't have the capability to do the whole work. And that's why we have, for example, when you find the groups like Kenya Progressive Nurses Association, for example, and people like us, when we are able to ask people, you know, put our team, that can be able to come forward and assist these patients. And it's like an outreach program. It's like moving Nairobi or Rakan and Ambisha, for example, to a place. And the standards are the same we do in that case. And we were able to do more cases at that time than even when they were coming in once and for a while. Because at that time, because of the needs for that quality and safety of the job, it's not something that is done everywhere else. Number two, the training. You know, for us to train the people who can do this job. We have done quite a number of these ones. I mean, we are a lot of training, but it helped me train in a way that, look, because remember, you take that child and you're treating that child. You want that child when he's 70 years and he meets you on the road, if you're alive at that time, he will be able to say, look, this was my doctor. This is the person, this was my nurse. Because they have nothing to be ashamed of. Everything was done perfectly. But if you do something, and you don't want to see that particular person at that particular time, then you feel quite regretful about it.
All right, Jacqueline. So what are the challenges that you face when it comes to treating cleft lipping in general?
Okay, the challenge is one, generally, if it's not a camp or a reach-out like this, then it's very expensive to do the surgery for cleft lip.
Okay.
Yeah, but we also have a challenge with parents just coming forward to say, my child has this problem. Most of them, as we said, because of the stigma, they hide and they don't want to come out. And sometimes you go to your local dispensary or local health center and they don't know what to do with you because they don't know such an activity exists. So they don't know where to refer you to. And as you've also heard, the surgeon, maxillofacial, there are very few in the country. And not all of them would come out to just assist. Yeah, so that's why we come up and partner and reach out. We try to get to the most remote village. I remember last year when we were in Kisumu, we had children who came from Turkana. Yeah. And I remember we always share and laugh about it and say, the joy is when you look at the mother when they're giving you that child, when you're taking the child to theater.
Hope.
Their face, they normally look like they want to cry and they're uncertain of the outcome. By the time when you come with the child out of theater and hand over to them, you see the excitement in their face.
All right.
Because they come out when now, at least you look at the face and it is now beautiful. Yeah, while...
Yes, Jamila has a picture. I don't know if we can get it.
Yeah, you see the space?
Yes.
Yes. So when they're giving you this child, the mother has been through stress all this time, taking care of this child. Yeah. Then they're giving them to you. They don't know if this stress that they've been going through is going to come to an end. All right. So when you hand back the child with the lip repaired, you see the joy in their face. Yes. Yeah, and the smile.
I can see the child smiling there.
Yeah, and even the mother, some of them cry out of joy. Yes. Yeah, because finally, I am not going to face any humiliation in the society, because even the society tends to look at these children as if they're not normal children. Okay. And this can happen to any child and anyone.
All right, Jamil, yes.
Something on that.
Yeah.
You talk of the challenges. Remember when the children are born? You remember we talked about these children cannot be able to feed. Yes. These children cannot be able to talk. These children, they are actually like, it's a disability. And people don't look at it that way. Now, remember, if a child cannot feed, it means that the mother or the father are going to be with that child almost 24 hours. They have to take over. 24 hours means that they are not doing any gainful work. In terms of the economy, they are not contributing anything that to the economy. Yeah. So when you look at what eventually you lose as a country or as individuals, as a community, is so much. But once that child is treated, for example, you'll find that they will be released to go to the various places in place. The most modern challenge that is there, look, as a community, and I will start, for example, what effort do you make to ensure that at least in anywhere you come from, anyone with this kind of a disease is given these services where they're available. Okay. Because many of us have not taken that upon ourselves that, look, in fact, many people come and help us to do this case that come from outside. There are challenges that we locally were not fully informed. In fact, when we're asking people to come and help us on these things, the first thing they ask is how much money I want to be paid. You know, and you find that, or for example, you are doing a great job here to make sure that people are knowing what's happening in. And this is the kind of thing that if we each person plays a role, it becomes very special, for example.
Okay.
And you can help people when they don't have the money. Yeah.
Okay, Jamila, earlier on you talked about going to Meru, Kakamega, Nyeri. She even mentioned Kisumu. How often do you make these trips?
Okay, for us as an association, that is Kenya Progressive Nurses Association, we usually have our scientific conference once a year. That is in November. So normally we do these once a year. That's when we get together for the scientific conference, and that is 5 days before the scientific conference. We do our CSR. We give back to the community as nurses, other than the professional issues. So normally we do it once a year. Yeah.
That's when you will go now from county to county? From
county to county. Okay. We move from county to, our scientific conferences move from one county to the next one. Yeah. This year we're in Nairobi. Next year maybe we'll be in another county.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And we usually move with the Help a Child Face tomorrow, so that we can be able to do the surgeries.
Okay. Help a Child Face tomorrow, I mean, it's just basically a group of our specialists. We do a lot of other extra surgical programs, which we do every 2 months or every 3 months, or sometimes once a month, depending on whether we've got the support that we go to that particular place on. And we have covered quite a lot of Kitan. We've gone to Muranga, we've gone to Turkana, we've gone to Wajir, we've gone to Kakamega, we've gone to Nakuru. There are many places we've gone over the last couple of years, for example. Okay. And we have helped close to, I mean, in those times, close to about 6,000 children and adults.
All right. Jacqueline, come to you. Yes, there are some places in the country where they do not have forms of getting in touch or getting to know of such cases. Is there an awareness program you have that you just go to the interior, the most rural areas of Kenya to educate the citizens or the residents there?
Okay. Thanks to Help a Child Face tomorrow.
Yes.
When they partnered with us, Nurses of Kenya Progressive Nurses Association come from all over the country. Every health facility in this country has nurses from our association. So we go on educating people about this. Yes. And when they get clients who have this problem, most of them will not come to the hospital. But since we work in the community, someone will always identify them and bring them to the facility. Okay. Once they come to the facility, we are informed. We are told through our channels, we are told there's a child from this community who has this problem. When is the next surgery? Yeah. So then we link them up with Professor. If it's not during our scientific conference, Professor, normally they have this thing going round almost all the year round. Probably after every 2-3 months, they have one. Okay. So then we link them up, then they're able to get help.
Earlier when you talked about knowledge, you go to some clinics and, you know, they don't know what this is. Yeah. Does your program also do that, Jamila?
Yeah, we normally do that. Yeah. And mostly nurses are aware. When they see a child with cleft lip, they know that it's a problem. So usually they would always want to find some help for the child. And during this, we normally do posters, and we send them all over the country for the surgeries, so they are aware. And then we also do radio. And fortunately, this time we are doing KTM.
Yes, that is a good thing. Yeah. Yes.
Improvement.
Okay. Okay, so now, even as we conclude, what would you like to tell the citizens out there? I'll start with you, Daktari.
I think cleft care is a condition that can easily be managed and treated. Okay. But it requires a concerted effort of all of us coming together and making sure that we help those who cannot be able to help themselves. And ensuring that we reduce the stigma, we reduce the challenges that they are having in this particular place. Okay. So the thing is that it is high time that all of us, as a country, as a community, that we, wherever you see these children who are suffering like this, please help them. so that they can be able to reach where they can get the services.
Yeah.
I'm quite happy in the mission we want to start in Mbagathi, also that there are already close to about 100 people who have called from all over the country who will be coming to us. And this is what we need.
Yeah.
And for us having us here at this particular moment, it's still an appeal that, look, can everybody, like now the KTN who have come forward to assist us in this particular sport, and remember, it's not the money one gives, but it's what the service you're offering at that particular moment. But remember, when you have these patients coming through, when you go to Mbagathi, they might not be able to, that's an extra patient. The hospital might not be able to have resources to feed them, for example. If there was anybody coming forward and helping, to help in those kind of things, some of these patients will come from very far, all over the country. Yeah. And they might not even be able to have food to eat, even not coming. And I wish, and I always appeal that if KTN is able to come,
yes,
cover that program, particularly when we start particularly on 12th when we do the screenings, yes, to see and interview the patient, because sometimes the patient can tell the story better than we can do. So that's the only thing that I can do to carry on and pray for us that we can be able to. This is what we call service. And it's something that is positive, something that adds value to the community, to the country, and to the world at large.
Okay, Jacqueline, your parting shot.
For every child out there who has a cleft lip and cleft palate, these surgeries go on throughout the year. Reach out, say your problem, and you will get help. Okay. People are out here just waiting to assist those who have issues like this one. And for every lady out there who wants to plan their pregnancy, start early. Start taking the folic and ferrous early in time, so to avoid such complications that arise. All right,
Jamila, you'll have the last word. And please, if you can just tell citizens that are watching where exactly you'll be and from when, the period that you'll be.
Okay, we are hoping that everybody who is watching, you have a poster here. You can focus on the poster. We'll be at the Mbagathi Hospital. The screening will start on 12th. Okay. That is on Friday. On Saturday, okay, we've done the dates. On Saturday, we'll be admitting the patients, and possibly the surgeries will be starting on Saturday, that is 13th. Okay. It will continue on 14th up to 16th. Okay. So anybody with a problem can come to Mbagathi Hospital, and we are hoping to get big numbers. We are hoping we can help as many as possible. I hope this appeal will go to so many today. Yes. So that they can all come to Mbagathi Hospital. We are ready to help. We are ready to assist.
All right. Thank you very much for joining us here on Morning Express and for doing such a good deed, not only to yourselves, but also to the people out there. That is Dr. Meshach Onguti to my immediate left. Next to him, Jacqueline Obonyo. And finally, last but not least, Jamila Omwiri. Thank you very much for joining us. Now that is where we wrap things up here on Morning Express. Thank you for being with us for the last 4 hours. Thank you. It's always a pleasure having you. I am Ashley Mazuri. Up next is Yusuf Ibrahim with News Center. Don't forget Morning Express tomorrow, same place, same time.